Yeah.
Yep.
Hold that for me. Welcome everybody to the CPC Film Series. This is our winter edition. Obviously, thank you all for braving the elements to join us on this fine night. So I just wanted to say just a few things. Number one, first of all, thank you. Thank you for being here. I know that on a Friday night, often there's a lot of other things to do, but honestly and genuinely, we appreciate it. Obviously, we're going to hear from Professor Whitcraft. She's going to be presenting Olympus Has Fallen, and she was on a recent Nightly News podcast with us. It was the first time she was ever on a podcast, and I didn't scare her away, so she's looking forward to joining the podcast again. But on there, one of the things that I really wanted to share with you, if you haven't had a chance to listen to it, is her passion for movies and her passion for sharing these movies and films with others in her family. She talked about her father and the impact that her father had on her and why she loves movies so much. So I'm sure that she's going to talk about that a little bit here today. One of the things that I do want to do with our film series is we typically ask a club sponsor to come along with this. And so the refreshments are available for donation in the back. That is going to support the Night Patrol and the First Responders Club. So please, if you haven't gotten your refreshments yet, I really encourage you to go back and do so before the film starts. They should be here till just after the film begins. So please go back, throw $1 or $2 in there. It's going to support a great cause. So to that point, we're going to invite some folks up to join us. Gabby Perez, Cowboy Jen are going to be up here to share a little bit more about these clubs. So let's hear about it.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming in. Thank you, Paula, for introducing us. My name is Gabby Perez, and I am the current president of Night Patrol. And this is Cowboy Jen.
Hey guys, I'm Cowboy Jen, also known as Jennifer Walter.
Yeah, and she's the VP of Night Patrol. And Brian, who is the president of the First Responders, is actually not here today, so he's here with us in spirit. And he's not dead. He's just not here. And I'm also VP of that club, so basically Night Patrol, our purpose of Night Patrol, what we do is basically to educate the students on campus about criminal justice, and anyone who has an interest in criminal justice. And you don't really have to be a major of criminal justice. If you have an interest in it, or just overall like somewhat of a passion for it, everyone is welcome to join the club. And all these proceeds will go to future events to educate the campus on, like for example, we're supposed to have like a murder mystery, maybe a breakfast, and then maybe a pool party. But all these events will also be served to educate everyone on campus as well.
So events that we plan to host is game nights. So one of the games we did is LA Noir.
LA Noir. It's
Yeah.
basically a 1945 based policing game where you engage as a detective and you just solve crime.
And then we also host Clue Night, so we all play Clue, and sometimes we'll have prizes, so like Amazon gift cards, other gift cards for the prize winner.
Yeah, that's pretty much a bit about us. Hope you all enjoy the movie.
Well, again, all the proceeds from the donations from the refreshments will go to the First Responders Club and Night Patrol, and we appreciate them joining us today. We appreciate everyone in the back for working the station. So please, before the film starts, go back, grab another drink and popcorn, or maybe throw another buck or two into the bin. They would genuinely appreciate that. So without further ado, I'd like to bring up Professor Johnna Witcraft. She is going to be presenting on Olympus Has Fallen, so she's going to talk a bit more about her history with film, but also why she selected the film, as well as a lot of other details. So let's give her a round of applause and have her on out.
Good evening. Welcome. So I chose the movie Olympus Has Fallen. Particularly, Professor Miller talked about it a little bit. Thank you, Professor Miller, for having me tonight. I am very excited about this. But my dad and I used to watch action films together all the time. It was kind of what we did. It's kind of how we bonded. My dad isn't what you would call a warm, fuzzy man, but we bonded over movies and our love of action films. My mother hated that we bonded that way. She prefers rom-com and Hallmark movies, which I just can't get into. I'm sorry, anybody that likes Hallmark movies, I can't get into them. They all have the same plot.
I agree.
Me too, I agree.
So we would watch action films together, and this is a movie that we actually watched together, and we watched the 2 sequels together too. Even if they're not good action movies, we would watch them. And he got me into my favorite movie of all time is Tombstone, and he got me into Tombstone. And so I love action movies. I love movies in general. My knowledge of movies and movie trivia is ridiculous. I don't know why. I just over the years have picked up knowledge of movies, and every now and then you'll hear me spout a random movie trivia. So I always said that I should go on some game show because I might win. But tonight I did pick Olympus Has Fallen, and I want to tell you a little bit about Olympus Has Fallen. I'm not going to spoil anything or give anything away. I had a little bit of a hard time coming up with what I was going to talk about tonight because I didn't want to spoil anything for anyone if you have not seen it yet. So, maybe? Oh, now I'm going too fast. Okay. So, a brief synopsis of the movie. So, Secret Service agent Mike Fanning finds himself trapped inside the White House in a wake of a terrorist attack and works with national security to rescue the president from his kidnappers. He also works to rescue the president's son and get the president's son out of the White House as well. So, the characters in this movie, the first character and the main character that we see throughout most of the movie is Mike Fanning. And he is a Secret Service agent and former Army Ranger. And then we see Benjamin Asher, who is the President of the United States. Fun fact, and I mentioned this on the podcast, one of the reasons I picked the movie was when I was going through the movies that I could possibly pick, I saw President Asher, and my son's name is Asher. So it had a big head start from there, and I just decided it is his last name, not his first name, but the name Asher was in there, and you don't hear that very much. Alan Trumbull is the Speaker of the House, and he is played by Morgan Freeman. And then you have Leanne Jacobs, who's the Director of the U.S. Secret Service. General Edward Clegg, who's the Chief of Staff of the United States Army. Roma, who is the U.S. Secret Service agent in charge at the time of the terrorist attack. Fun fact about Roma. Do I have any Yellowstone fans out there? Anybody who watches Yellowstone? Rip is the same actor. So Cole Hauser plays Rip in Yellowstone, and he also plays Roma in Olympus Has Fallen. I didn't realize that because he dyes his hair for Yellowstone, so his hair is dark in Yellowstone, and in this movie it's like a reddish blonde. So I watched it again and I was like, oh hey, it's the same guy. And then Dave Forbes is a former U.S. Secret Service agent now working for the Prime Minister of South Korea's security detail. So I'm not going to talk much more about the actual movie because I don't want to give anything away, but I did want to talk a little bit about the Secret Service and who the Secret Service is and what the Secret Service does. Because the Secret Service is not always portrayed correctly in films. So when you see in the films, the Secret Service agent is the person normally standing behind whoever in politics is speaking or whoever is the president in the movie with dark sunglasses on, a suit, and an earpiece. And that's, other than these movies, the Secret Service doesn't really have a large part in the movie. They're normally background characters, but that's normally how they're portrayed. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about what the Secret Service is, what they do, because their job isn't just about protecting the president. That is part of their job, but that's not their whole job. And then just a little bit about what it takes to become a Secret Service agent. So, a brief history of the Secret Service. The Secret Service was created in 1865. The only federal agencies that were in action at the time were the U.S. Customs, U.S. Park Police, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, and the U.S. Marshals. The U.S. Marshals were the only other investigatory arm of the federal government. There was no other department that was in charge of inspections or investigations. So the Secret Service was actually established under the Department of Treasury. They were tasked with stamping out the rampant counterfeiting at the time. So in 1865, it was right towards the end of the Civil War. At the end of the Civil War, 1/3 of U.S. currency was counterfeited. So that's an astronomical number. So they realized we have a problem with counterfeiting, so they created a department to deal with counterfeiting. And that is what the U.S. Secret Service was created to do. They were created to deal with counterfeiting. Well, the U.S. Marshals realized at the time that they also had a problem because there weren't enough of them to do investigations. So the U.S. Secret Service started helping them investigate a wide range of crimes, which included murder, bank robbery, and illegal gambling. So they acted as a help for the Marshal Service, but at the same time, their main task was stamping out and getting rid of counterfeiting. So the Secret Service was the first domestic intelligence and counterintelligence agency, and they would continue to be so until the FBI's creation in 1908. Okay, so after the assassination of President William McKinley in 1901, Congress informally requested that the Secret Service provide presidential protection. So it wasn't until 1901 that they started offering the president any kind of protection. Fun fact, we're going to talk about William Craig. William Craig was with President William McKinley at the time of his assassination, but he wasn't there as protection for the president. So in 1902, the Secret Service assumed full-time responsibility for the president's protection. So only a year later, they actually became full-time the people that protected the president. That same year, William Craig became the first Secret Service agent to die while in the line of duty. And he was in a presidential carriage that was hit by a trolley. The trolley was trying to catch up to the presidential carriage so they could see the president. It got out of control and it hit the carriage and ended up, William Craig ended up getting ejected from the carriage and killed. So he was the first incident. There have only been 2 Secret Service agents in the history of the Secret Service that have died in the line of duty or while protecting a president. There was a third that died at 9/11 at the Twin Towers. So in 1968, as a result of Robert F. Kennedy's assassination attempt, Congress authorized the protection of major presidential and vice presidential candidates. So there was an assassination on Robert F. Kennedy, who's the brother of President Kennedy, and due to that, Congress said we need protection for people who are running to be president. So in 1965 and 1968, Congress also authorized lifetime protection for the spouses of deceased presidents and divorcees. So if a president and first lady, we've only had male presidents up to this time, so they've always been females, but if there is a male, if they divorce after they are no longer president, they still get Secret Service protection unless they remarry. Then they're no longer a target. So they no longer, if they remarry, they no longer get protection from the Secret Service. And any children of former presidents until the age of 16. After the age of 16, they're no longer protected unless the president is currently in office. So on the current state of the Secret Service, on March 1st, 2003, the Secret Service was transferred from under the Treasury Department to the newly created Department of Homeland Security that was created due to 9/11. And with the reorganization of the federal departments, it was moved, realizing that it wasn't just a investigatory branch into counterfeiting anymore. So they currently have 7,000 individuals worldwide, employees. Today, the U.S. Secret Service fights crime on a global scale. They have field offices located in the United States, all over the United States, Canada, Mexico, South America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. And the agency works closely with local, state, and federal law enforcement organizations combating terrorism and counterfeiting, because a lot of times those two things go hand in hand. They are currently mandated by Congress with two distinct and critical national security missions. The first is to protect the nation's leaders, and the second is safeguarding the financial and critical infrastructure of the United States. So a lot of times when we think about the Secret Service, we just think about the presidential protection, but they're also in charge of all of the currency in the United States. So how do you become a Secret Service agent? What goes into becoming a Secret Service agent? So the qualifications for a Secret Service agent are applicants should have a 4-year college degree or a combination of education and criminal investigation experience. They need to be in good physical condition and have a record that is clear of criminal behavior. And I actually pulled this off of the Secret Service website, so I thought it was funny that the last lines, lots of people apply to become Secret Service agents, so the process is very competitive. If you're interested in becoming an agent, you should study very hard in school and always abide by the law. So that was directly off their website, so I thought that was entertaining. Okay, so the training that is involved, the first thing that a Secret Service agent, obviously you go through the application process, you'll be required to do background checks, extensive background checks and security clearances, and you will also be required to do a polygraph test before you are hired. Once you are hired as an agent, you will go to training. So during the first year of employment, special agent trainees receive 7 months of formal classroom, fitness, firearms, and simulation training. In those 7 months, the first 13 weeks is spent at FLETC, which is the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, and that is a introductory 13 weeks that they're learning how to be an how to be a Secret Service agent. The last 18 weeks are spent at the actual training center for Secret Service agents, and that is where they get their specialized training. That's where they learn protection details, they get medical training, so that they can, if something happens to the president or somebody that they're protecting, they can offer assistance right away and not have to wait for medical personnel to get there. So they have medical training, all Secret Service agents have it. So they do simulation training also. So if something were to happen, they put them in situations to help them understand the high intense situations that they would be in. The first assignment they get is a field office assignment, and these assignments are normally a probationary period. So you're there for a shorter amount of time. It's getting you used to what field work is like. That's more investigatory. You're doing more of the counterfeit investigating, intelligence, counterintelligence, that kind of stuff. All Secret Service or special agents entering the Secret Service are assigned to a field office prior to being reassigned to a permanent protection assignment. So their protection assignment, special agents are then assigned to protection assignments, and there are several protection details they could be assigned to. It could be the presidential protective detail, the vice presidential. They also have intelligence protection, assessment division, the counter assault team, which we actually see in the movie. They're the ones that will come in first when the terrorist attack happens. That's the counter assault team. They're the people that, if something were to happen, it's kind of like the SWAT team, but for the Secret Service. They have a hazardous agent mitigation medical emergency response team, and then a counter surveillance division. So a lot of people, or a lot of agents, stay in the protective assignment once they're assigned there. You have to re-up every year if you want to stay in that assignment. But if you don't want to stay in that assignment, say you don't like where you're at, you can ask to be reassigned. The protection assignment is from 3 to 5 years normally. So you have to be in that protection assignment for 3 to 5 years, but you can be moved to different protections. So you can be moved from the president to the vice president. The Speaker of the House also has Secret Service assigned to them. A lot of the high level targets have Secret Service assigned to them. So then afterwards, they get assigned, if they would like to, they can get assigned to headquarters assignments. And these are special assignments that can be things like legal or criminal investigation. They have technological security. At the training center, the James J. Raleigh Training Center, you can be assigned there to work as a trainer. Or cyber investigations, or they can return to a field office and work as a field training officer, or at the field office doing counterintelligence or counterfeiting. So a couple incidents that have happened in the history of the Secret Service. So in the movie, obviously we see a huge incident that happens, but these are some of the things that have occurred. So in 1950, President Harry S. Truman was residing in the Blair House, which is across the street from the White House. The White House was being renovated. And on November 1st, 1950, 2 would-be assassins approached the Blair House and they attempted to assassinate President Truman. They opened fire on a Secret Service agent, Private Leslie Colfelt, and other White House police officers. Colfelt was mortally wounded and shot 3 times in the chest and abdomen. After being mortally wounded, he ended up killing one of the assailants with 1 shot to the head, and the other assailant he ended up injuring, but he survived his injuries. He spent 29 years in prison before returning to Puerto Rico in late 1979. Colfelt is the only member of the Secret Service ever killed while actually actively stopping an assassination attempt. And then the 9/11 attacks. So the New York City field office was located at 7 World Trade Center. Immediately after the attacks, the special agents that worked in that field center, since they had medical training, they responded and were able to give first aid. And 67 special agents in New York City were in New York City at the time, at and near the New York field office. They helped to set up triage areas, evacuate the towers, and one Secret Service employee, Secret Service agent Master Special Officer Craig Miller, died during the rescue efforts. So that was the 3rd Secret Service agent that died in the line of duty. On August 20th, 2002, Director Brian L. Stafford awarded the Director's Valor Award to employees who assisted in the rescue attempts on 9/11. So quickly to end, I'm going to give you some fun facts about the Secret Service. And a fun fact about me finding the fun facts. During finding these fun facts, I was in my office with Professor Goebel and Professor Contino, who I teach with, and I would every now and then yell over the cubicles, "Did you know this about the Secret Service?" And I think by the end of the week they were getting tired of me because they were finally like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, well I didn't." So the first thing is the president and vice president can't refuse protection while they're in the office. They are not allowed to say, "No, we don't want Secret Service protection." So they have to, while they are serving as president or vice president, be protected by the Secret Service. Once they are out of office, they are allowed to decline the lifelong protection that is afforded to them, and they can hire their own security if they would like, but not while they're in office. While traveling, the president is never more than 10 minutes from a trauma center. So when they're trying to figure out where the president is going to speak at or where the president is going to travel, they have to travel and plan their routes. So the president is never more than 10 minutes from a trauma center. And agents are assigned to carry bags of the president's blood in case a transfusion is needed. So could you imagine that being your job? Like, I'm the president's blood carrier.
Oh.
So they investigate anyone who's made a threat against the president to determine if it's real. No matter how small, they have to investigate it. The president is never alone. Okay, when I put this together, there's a caveat to this. The president is never alone while traveling. So if they are outside of the White House and they are traveling, the president is never alone. Agent is present with the president if they go into any public restrooms. There has to be a agent with them. They clear the restroom, and then the president is allowed to go to the bathroom. They are not allowed to go, he's not allowed to just walk into a bathroom. So if he's at some sort of event, there is always normally a private bathroom for him, but if they have to stop for some reason, an agent goes in with him. He goes to they go to the doctor's office with him. Now, most of the time, the presidents have a physician that comes to the White House for them, but if they have to go to the doctors at any point while they're in the, out from the White House, they go into the doctor's office with them, and any other seemingly private situations. So meetings, anything like that, there's always a Secret Service agent, which is why they have such a high level of clearance. All food that is eaten by the president is prepared under Secret Service supervision. So it never leaves the eyes of the Secret Service. So once it's prepared, it is watched while being prepared, and it is watched until it gets to the president's mouth. So they know exactly what goes into the president's body. When the president is staying at a hotel, the Secret Service keep an elevator repairman on standby in case he gets stuck. Because we can't have the president getting stuck in an elevator. So there is always a repairman on standby working with the Secret Service, making sure that the president doesn't get stuck in a hotel elevator. They're on duty even during the president's leisure time, which means they can be forced to pick up hobbies that they may not like. So running is included, horseback riding. So if you're not you don't like running very much, but the president or the vice president that you're protecting, or anybody that you're protecting, enjoys running, you're gonna run. So too bad. And if the president's wife or kids enjoy horseback riding, or the president does, you're gonna learn how to horseback ride. So there are some cases, like I said in the beginning, you normally see those Secret Service agents with the dark sunglasses. There are some cases when the sunglasses do protect their eyes from projectiles, and they allow them to scan the crowds unnoticed, but really the sunglasses are just to protect their eyes from the sun. They are not required to wear their sunglasses indoors. If they're indoors, a lot of times they will not have sunglasses on. So that, how they portray them in the media, that's inaccurate. They do not always wear their dark sunglasses. The Secret Service is present at all major events, like the Super Bowl, the Olympics, any national event. The Secret Service is present there, even if the president is not. So they are present there because they're they have the joint task of preventing terrorism. So they're there to protect the nation's infrastructure from terrorist attacks. And then the last fun fact that I have, because I talked a lot about protecting the president, and as I've said, that is not their only job. Their job is also to root out counterfeit. So in November 2016, the agency seized 30 million counterfeit dollars and 50,000 euros, and this was their largest seizure ever, and it happened in Lima, Peru. So it wasn't even on U.S. territory. It was in Lima, Peru. So with that, I will present to you. That is all I have about the Secret Service. Thank you for listening to me talk tonight. I hope I didn't bore you guys. So with that, Professor Miller, you
Sure.
can come back up? Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. It's going to take us just a minute to get the film on. I'm going to move the platform. Please take this final opportunity if you need any more refreshments. I'm assuming they'll be here for about another 15 minutes. And hey, throw a couple bucks in their donation bin. They are here to do a fundraiser to help get their first responder club right off the ground and continue with the night patrol. So again, thanks so much everyone for being here, and enjoy the show.